in space of any kind, but this is being stonewalled by the U.S., who favor the approach laid out by U.S. President. Theodore Roosevelt speaks off and carry a big stick. Arguably, some force in space might actually be necessary, adding to the complexity of the situation. To say that there is a lack of trust between the big superpowers at the moment might be a bit of an understatement. Beyond that, in January 2018, a U.S. company called Swarm was denied permission by the U.S. Federal Communications Commission to launch 4 satellites. Swarm went to India and launched them anywhere way without government approval. There were illegal ramifications for this. The FCC later fined Swarm $900,000 for their actions. But it sets a concerning precedent as space becomes more and more available for companies with large wallets and few scruples. It may one day become profitable to participate in illegal space ventures. Some degree of policing, with some degree of force to back it up, might become necessary to protect the interests of legitimate or scientific spacefarers. Sadly, as has been noted by many analysts, there is a perceived preference from countries on all sides towards rules that promote freedom for their own actions while silencing the activities and aspirations of others. And yet, space needs greater global regulation. If the nations of the world can't agree on some kind of framework for ongoing exploration, there is a risk that space exploration becomes a Wild West, rife with conflict and with the more noble aim of scientific advancement left by the wayside. This would be a waste, as with a little extra work. International law could become robust enough to prevent this. What has been agreed so far shows promise. One treaty, known as the Moon Treaty, lays out the environment of the Moon as the common heritage of mankind, to be used only for peaceful purposes and only to be exploited at the careful agreement according to an international regulatory regime. However, not many nations have signed up to this treaty. None of the nations that have their own significant launch capabilities, such as the U.S., Russia, or China, which leaves this treaty largely ineffectual. There so far has not been any agreement on what this regime would look like, nor what the common heritage of mankind actually. Music means if space is going to be a safe place for future generations. This needs to change. More discussion needs to happen on these topics to re-end future illegal activity or escalating space-based armed races. Groups that send rockets into space need to keep track of them. Ultimately, the nations of the so-called civilized world need to come to more agreement on these issues. At the end of the day, we don't want to live in a world where we have mystery, rockets crashing into the moon. We want to live in a world where space is appreciated for its alien beauty, where its dangers and mechanisms are purely natural and understood, and the moons and planets out there can be explored peacefully and fairly rather than fought over and ultimately destroyed. Maybe as a people we need to grow up, not just technologically, but civil too. Humanity has always new frontiers. In the 16th century, when Christopher Columbus first sailed to America, thousands of Europeans embarked on a perilous 6-month voyage across dangerous oceans to follow him. When they arrived, they knew that there would be none of the trappings of European civilization waiting for them. They would have to farm, build shelters, and work hard just to survive. Many didn't make it either, dying in the crossing or in the years after arrival. But it didn't stop more from coming. It couldn't. The call of the new frontier was too strong. Fast forward to the 21st century, and before us lies a new frontier. Space, despite its beauty, it is the most hostile environment imaginable. Space will burn you to death. It will freeze you. Its radiation will kill you. The changing gravity will crush you or waste you away. Not even breathable air can be taken for granted. Yet this frontier is calling to us. Perhaps it highlights something within human nature that we would strive to go to such a desolate place. Maybe we relish the challenge. There is something that speaks to certain souls about going somewhere hostile and deadly, and building something warm and safe there. Or maybe it's curiosity. There is so much to learn about the universe around us. And while looking at photographs and measuring conditions through instruments is interesting, there is nothing quite like experiencing a place, a phenomenon, a wonder of the universe firsthand. Plus, being physically present opens up whole new avenues of science. And so humanity's sights are set on the other planets in the solar system. Mars might have humans walking on it as early as 2033, but it begins with the Moon. The Atmos mission intends to get humans back to the Moon by 2024, for through doing so, it will develop new technology and explore technical frontiers currently uncharted. The technical expertise gained from this enterprise will enable scientists to create spaceships capable of carrying human life to the wider solar system. It begins with a moon, and with Orion 1, I'm Alex Molan, and you're watching Astrom. Join with me today after the recent successful splash down of the first crewable spacecraft to travel to the moon and back. In nearly 50 years, this mission will open the doorway to distant planets. So what did it do over the course of its nearly 26-day journey? The answer to that gains us a fascinating insight into how close we are to having a human on the moon. Once more, Orion 1's journey to the moon and back started at launch. Complex 39B, at the Kennedy Space Center in Florida. The atmosphere there was tense but exciting. This was an important mission. It had been nearly 50 years.